Welcome a day later than normal to the happenings for this week. I was waiting on a new mattress to be delivered yesterday, and the best time frame they gave me was a 3-hour window, which is when I normally do recording and everything for this. And of course, they were also an hour later, so I couldn't even really get out an hour later. It's when I spend time doing various things with my wife, Diablo and whatnot. So with that, go ahead and get everything done for this week. 8:25, which is typically what it is Friday, then gaming industry news and happenings. So with that, let's go ahead and jump in. Blizzard has officially responded to Overwatch 2 review bombing on Steam. They have finally spoken out about this review bombing occurrence with Overwatch 2's launch on the PC platform. Within 48 hours, the game quickly became one of the worst player review games on the platform. While it is true that a large majority do stem from Chinese players who no longer have access to Blizzard titles due to the companies falling out with their Chinese publisher NetEase, that doesn't detract from the fact that if you removed those amount of reviews, the remaining reviews are also still equally just as negative. Aaron Keller, head of the game for Blizzard, had this to say. Although being review bombed isn't a fun experience, it's been great to see lots of new players jump into Overwatch 2 for the first time. Our goal with Overwatch 2 has been to make the game more accessible than ever for more people than ever before. If we can't turn back the clock, then what can we do? We can keep adding to and improving Overwatch 2. That is how we move forward. This means more maps, heroes, game modes, missions, stories, events, cool cosmetics and features. An ever-expanding, evolving, and improving game. This is the future of Overwatch, one where we will continually create and innovate on what is making the game great now for the players who are playing now. We've heard from many of our core players that the game is in its best state it's ever been, and many have told us that they feel like we're really listening to their feedback and that this season is a culmination of that, so it's awesome to hear. This is all also occurring amongst Blizzard, acknowledging that Overwatch 2 is losing players each day amongst other issues, such as the looming closure of the esports-oriented Overwatch League. Blizzard really does have their work cut out for them. There's no denying that they can claw back the Steam reviews on Overwatch 2, the Steam reviews for Overwatch 2 on Steam, but there's not really a need for that. The game is already out, the players who play are already established and already do enjoy it. They're just voicing their discontent with, more than likely, losing access to the game in the case of Chinese players who can now review the game, as well as people who paid to have the new PvE mode that was then cancelled, with $15 PvE passes coming out as well. Ubisoft can't seem to keep the lid on Immortal Fenyx Rising 2 leaks amongst its cancellation. More details have emerged on the canceled sequel to their first original title in a long time, Immortal Fenyx Rising. The original title was well received by both consumers, gamers, and critics alike, though, not a huge success, middling reviews around 70s, etc., stuff like that. Ubisoft last month confirmed that they had canceled the sequel to the title. Well, more details have emerged on the direction that title was going to take, and that really makes it all the more disappointing. While the original title was an Ubisoft take on Breath of the Wild injected with Greek mythology and culture as well as Assassin's Creed, the sequel is going to mix it up even further. The ideas and gameplay were going to be based around Elden Ring and The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. That wasn't the only major change, though. The Greek culture and mythology inspirations was going to be replaced by that of the Hawaiian Polynesian culture, which makes more sense with the inclusion of the Wind Waker gameplay comparisons. The typical Ubisoft open world with an abundance, too many to say the least, of quest markers and random things to do and bloated gameplay was being replaced with that of Elden Ring's, sparking player-driven exploration akin to, how players played Elden Ring, creating a sense of wonder. Players would then continue to impress the gods to gain new elemental and shape-shifting powers acquired through various tattoos. So really, just never forget what Ubisoft took away from us. A new, burgeoning, and exciting series that had a great reception from critics and players alike, only to make more Assassin's Creed games. Bioware has also just announced that it is cutting 50 jobs from its ranks as the embattled studio works on both a new Mass Effect title and the announced Dragon Age Dreadwolf. I have a quote here coming directly from Gary McKay, the Bioware general manager. This is from a blog post he created on the subject. In order to meet the needs of our upcoming projects, continue to hold ourselves to the highest standard of quality, and ensure BioWare can continue to thrive in an industry that's rapidly evolving, we must shift towards a more agile and more focused studio. It will allow our developers to iterate quickly, unlock more creativity, and form a clear vision of what we're building before development ramps up. To achieve this, we find ourselves in a position where change is not only necessary, but unavoidable. As difficult as this is to say, rethinking our approach to development inevitably means reorganizing our team to match the studio's changing needs. As part of this transition, we are eliminating approximately 50 roles at BioWare. That is deeply painful and humbling to write. We are doing everything we can to ensure the process is handled with empathy, respect, and clear communication. As cliche as this sounds, there truly is never a good time to enact changes like this, but we trust that we have the right leaders and team in place with vision, passion, and proven track records to deliver world-class Dragon Age and Mass Effect experiences that our fans will love. And that was the entire quote from McKay on their blog post. McKay does also say that the studio restructuring and elimination of roles aligns BioWare with long-term vision the team has built to preserve the health of the studio, to create exceptional story-driven single-player experiences. As for the laid-off employees, he also went on to say they're being provided with professional resources and assistance to apply for various roles open across different EA studios. That is, if employees wish to continue working with the publisher. However, he also noted that it's unlikely everyone will find a new role within the company. This is a very weird thing to do when you're working on two large games. Dragon Age and Mass Effect games are large, sprawling RPGs to cut back your workforce. A lot of these were creative employees as well, writers, stuff like that. So, I mean, I guess good luck to BioWare in their future endeavors, but it seems like the BioWare we knew of old is officially dead. Dragon Age, Dreadwolf, and Mass Effect 4, whatever it might be called, will definitely be new entries into the series. Whether that's good or not remains to be seen. Ironwood Studios, developer behind the upcoming survival-driving roguelike RPG Pacific Drive, has announced that its targeted date of 2023 unfortunately is no longer feasible and has pushed the title back to 2024, and they provided a fairly good reason for that. As many know, we've been hard at work bringing this idea to life for quite some time, and every day adds more to the game we're proud of. In this final stretch, however, it's important to say that we stay true to ourselves and not compromise on the team's well-being. This is coming from a release from the studio on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. As our community grows, the support and excitement everyone has shown has been incredible, and we can't wait for everyone to take their own set of wheels out into the zone. Everyone here at Ironwood truly appreciates your patience and understanding. The game has been delayed to help the team avoid burnout and maintain a healthy work-life balance, and that is a good thing. Too many studios go into what is known as crunch time. This really does only increase the mistakes being made as the team becomes more and more overworked and decreases the quality. This is a game I've been looking forward to because the premise is indeed unique and interesting, and I have lived in the Pacific Northwest for a majority of my life, actually, until I recently moved away. And in more delay news, Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl has been officially delayed into 2024 as well. This was first noted on a new fact sheet for the game that was released during Gamescom 2023. It also goes on to state that the game will be launching on PC and the Xbox Series consoles. It will be available on PC, Xbox App, Steam, and GOG, as well as be available on Games Pass Day 1. Pre-orders are now also open, and there's even a physical edition planned for those interested in that. It was just earlier this month when it was initially published that it was going to be a December 2023 launch target. However, that seems to have been deemed unreasonable and has been pushed back to the Q1 of 2024. Have no fears though, owners of the Xbox rival console, Stalker 2 is just a 3-month exclusive for the platform and will be visiting the PlayStation 5 after that exclusivity window is up. Alongside this fact sheet, a new trailer was also released, as well, so go ahead and check that out if you're interested in the late follow-up to the cult classic survival title. The trailer features plenty of different environments, enemies, and gunplay, so you know what you can expect to experience within the game, for both old and new players alike. Remember that old tactical, hardcore first-person shooter series Delta Force? Well, Delta Force Hawk Down was announced, and this is not going to be the Delta Force of old. Tencent, the new owners of the IP, have announced that a new game of the series is on the way. However, this seems to be a blasphemous reboot of the series, dubbed Hawk Ops, sorry. I hope you're ready to rediscover the timeless charm of, as they put it, the timeless charm of Mogadishu. As a single-player campaign will take players through the real-life events that inspired the movie Black Hawk Down, and a scenario that the original Delta Force series had already covered. A brief teaser was shown, followed by a full-on trailer at Gamescom opening night, and man, it was something. Gone is the realistic tactical approach, and now here we have advanced exoskeletons and soldier power-ups such as speed and resistant boosts and magical-like healing abilities. The title was also announced for mobile devices, which makes a lot of sense. The title even has mobile registration unlocks for total users who do decide to register for the game. There seems to be also an extraction shooter mode on the way, as well as a multiplayer mode for, large groups of up to 32 players. The developer of the title is Timmy Studio Group, the studio behind COD Mobile for Activision, as well as Pokemon Unite for Pokemon Company and Nintendo, and those games are rife with microtransactions, COD Mobile being the closest title where it slams FOMO and predatory microtransaction practices in your face with pay for power hidden behind gadget mechanics. The game doesn't even look good. It looks like it's a mobile title in its pre-alpha gameplay footage that was shown off in the trailers. I don't even really want to go too much into it, but please just avoid this title. It is nothing more than a cash grab, and I don't know if anybody wants to rediscover the timeless charm of Mogadishu Town. Another surprise announcement was coming from One More Level and 505 Games, the developer and publisher, respectively, of the forthcoming Ghostrunner 2. They have actually said that the game is launching later this year on October 26th for current-gen consoles and PC via Steam and GOG. They also snuck out a new trailer as well, and it's worth definitely taking a look at. With this announcement, pricing and various package deals were also announced for the pre-order, and they all come with 2 sword skins and 2 hand skins. That's if you pre-order it. The base game will run you $39.99. The deluxe edition is $49.99, contains the base pre-order bonuses as well as 4 additional hand and sword skins, and a custom hand hologram that displays the player's username. Lastly up is the Brutal Edition, which will have everything previously mentioned, plus the first season pass, which will have some new assets, a new game mode, as well as an animated skin for your hands, sword, and motorcycle, as well as 48 hours of early access, giving you 2 days advanced access to the game on October 24th. I personally loved the first title. It's a first-person action speed platformer. Really tough if you play it on the harder difficulties. It was such a blast. Don't play it if you get motion sickness, though. I'm really looking forward to this title, and I'm gonna have to sneak in some time with it amongst plenty of other titles coming in October. Sven Vink announced earlier this week that while Gamescom, he had a great meeting with the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer. Rather than having to wait till 2024 as initially planned, Baldur's Gate 3 will now be coming to the Xbox consoles by the end of this year due to some concessions that were made regarding the Xbox Series S console. It has been noted quite a lot that the reason the title was not launching on Xbox platforms is that Larian Studios was having issues getting the couch co-op aspect to work on the Series S like it already was on the Series X. And Microsoft does typically force developers to have feature parity between the 2 consoles. This forced the delay of the title into next year, as Xbox even sent their own engineers to Larian to help discover and solve and iron out the issues and seem to be, what might be going on. There was no issue with the Series X, mind you. This was just its weaker hardware intro console counterpart, the Series S. Well, it seems like the meeting between Spencer and Mink produced results. The Series X will receive the version of the game that is parity to the PlayStation 5 and PC versions, minus, some graphical differences there. And in the fact that it has couch co-op, while the Series S will not have the couch co-op feature. This is huge, as other developers have lamented the parity between the Series consoles that is required, and has made development difficult for the Xbox platform this generation, with the Series S having weaker hardware specifications. This probably won't be a catch-all solution for every developer, if exceptions like this are to be made going forward, but rather on a per-game basis, once Xbox can send out their own engineers and see what might need to be done or what might be causing the issue. But the accidental console exclusivity for PlayStation 5 for Baldur's Gate 3 will be short-lived, which is a great thing. The title is fantastic and has one of the best opening acts of any game I've ever played, and this will allow more people to give the full game a try. Coming even further out of left field is also the announcement that Star Wars Dark Forces, a Star Wars take on Doom and the actual first FPS in the titular movie franchise's history, will be receiving a remake from none other than Night Dive Studios. Night Dive Studios is known for their System Shock remake as well as the just-released Quake 2 remake, both of which are fantastic releases, and I highly urge everybody to give them a try. The title is in development for all current major platforms, apparently, so PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, Series SX, PC, and the Nintendo Switch. Night Dive is once again using their own Kex engine, which they used for Quake 2, which is useful for increasing the aspect ratio from the original 4:3 to 16:9, as well as upscaling to 4K texture resolutions that modern televisions and monitors can handle. They're also updating the controls to work with modern controls and controllers, as the original 1996 title was only on PC and lacked controller support. Coming directly from an interview with Larry Cooperman of Night Dive, I think the audience will appreciate the degree of challenge. What we really try to do is bring back the way you felt when you played the original. That's our mission. Our mantra is always about preservation, and you don't preserve things by changing them. There were a couple changes in Quake 2 I noticed, like there's an entire another area you can go to outside in the first place. It was additive changes, not reductive changes, like you see with so many titles anymore nowadays. He further went on to state that the title would be popularly priced, and by that he meant in the range of $20 to $30. So if you're a fan of the original title, or have been enjoying the boomer shooter genre resurgence as of late, or if you even just enjoyed your first foray into the System Shock remake or Quake 2 remaster, this will definitely be a title for you to keep an eye on. It is very aggressively priced, low cost, should be an absolute blast. I remember playing the original title. It was a blast itself. The surprises just keep coming in an effort to meet the CMA's demands to get the merger of Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King done with. Microsoft has announced that they are selling the worldwide streaming rights of Activision Blizzard King titles to Ubisoft, a direct rival of theirs. This, of course, coming on the heels of the CMA being the last real regulatory hurdle for Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King for their deal to go through. The CMA has denied the initial purchase request, but is reopening a case on this deal as well because of this new event. And that's because with this, along with the Sony agreement, plenty have changed since then. The CMA did say that the Sony deal bears no real weight, as they only care about the incredibly small and, per the CA Tribunal themselves, difficult to define cloud streaming market. This new investigation will take the CMA until late October to finish, down to the recently new set deadline for the company's merger. If it doesn't make it through at this time, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard might just need to go through with without the board approval from the UK's regulatory board, and, see what they can do after that to resolve it. This deal with Ubisoft really only affects countries not within the European Union, as all the deals made with various cloud streaming platforms to satisfy the EU regulatory boards will stand as well, and in those countries, Microsoft will retain the streaming rights for the games. This also does not affect any other deals made with services such as Nvidia for their GeForce Now platform. This also won't affect any physical or digital releases of games. The deal itself is for the next 15 years and essentially is a lease to Ubisoft, but not ownership, because then it all comes back to Microsoft's hands. Ubisoft will just control the content through their Ubisoft Plus service. No other details have been made public yet, such as if there's any other bargaining agreement between Microsoft and Ubisoft regarding the availability of Ubisoft Plus on Games Pass or anything like that. So, who knows how this is going to go. This also doesn't affect strictly mobile titles such as Call of Duty Mobile or Candy Crush. So this complicated deal just keeps getting more complicated and strewn out, and more tax money is continually being wasted on it. Following up all the typical news, I did want to add an addendum to my prior review of Wayfinder, which I released earlier this week. It seems that Airship Syndicate and Digital Extremes has finally gotten the server capacity issues under wraps. Queues and disconnects have apparently been solved for the most part. Disconnects will likely continue to happen. It's just a woe of an online live service game. But connection is now regular connection is now possible, it seems. However, I would like to point out that I do stand by the rest of the review. The game is fun. I have no issue with stating that it is in fact fun. It has a fun play loop. Only the potential to grow as more Wayfinders, weapons, zones, and content become available themselves. This does also mean that I do stand by my belief that it's a less than good monetization practice strewn throughout the game. Rewards provided from completion of activities and their version of the Battle Pass, the Rewards Tower, just not being available in the game yet or usable yet. That feels extremely bad, as well as the pay for convenience and the pay for power. All of that still in the game. Do not like that. It's a fun game. I do believe it's just marred by some really ugly practices. It is what it is, though. It's their property. It's their IP. They can monetize it how they want to. Anyways, thanks for tuning in this week. I do have an Armored Core 6 review on the way. The game is great. It's fun. Albeit it's a little short if you wanted something as long as potentially Elden Ring, and if you're not someone to replay through missions to try to get an S rating on every single one, or experiment or play with different sorts of builds on your mech, might be disappointed in its length. I finished the game, minus the last 3 arena fights, just because I didn't know I was finishing the game before I got to them. Took me 14 hours. So 14 hours minus 3 arena fights. Not very long. That was without going through and purposefully S-ranking everything, hunting down every single part or battle log or combat log, whatever you want to call them, within each level. They're not very easy to find. Not really a fun thing to go through looking either. That sort of thing I think is better done in like Elden Ring. It's a direct example from the same developer. There are 2 endings initially in your first playthrough. I got one of them. Now there is another ending that is available in NG Plus or NG++, depending upon what you did the first time. So before Starfield, I'm definitely going to go ahead and get that checked out and finish to cross it off to see what ending I got there. Got all the endings with Elden Ring. Might as well continue on that trend with Armored Core 6. Well, if you did enjoy the content, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and head back to Rubicon. That's the sound you hear in the background. It's the main menu music for Armored Core 6. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day, weekend, and next week to come till I see you again.
Do you read me, Raven? I've identified the target. That's the mercenary who took your name.